The next round is starting in 20 seconds. Please stick to your lines.
Hello everybody and welcome back to The Thing here in Seattle. We have a great women's game coming up for you right here. I can't tell, is this team in front of us, they
Nemesis?
are Nemesis. They, I don't believe they're routinely playing club team together. This looks like this is a team from all over.
Yeah, absolutely. And one Canadian on the bench here with Megan McCaffrey wearing the Morales.
Megan McCaffrey representing Canada on this Nemesis side, and they're facing off against BC's Hyper. I believe they were provincial champions, am I right?
Provincial champions, risen to the top.
Yes. So, are you familiar with these two squads, or?
I'm much more familiar with Hyper. The recent
Me too.
additions to the team, Cynthia Lee and Jenna So, and they have one of the Rack Attack women, forgetting the name right now, but has joined the squad.
Nice. Well, we have a great Canadian squad against a very, very solid American squad here. From left to right, I'm not familiar with every player on Nemesis, but I'm pretty familiar with the Hyper players. You have the tall, lanky blonde in their left corner, Riel Leaf, huge arm. She's definitely going to be my primary target if I'm playing in this game.
Absolutely. And despite the height, unbelievable dodging.
Yes. Usually when you have that much height, it's really difficult to be an elite dodger, but I do think she's in that echelon. Great catch.
Alyssa Wright.
Alyssa Wright. You are definitely more familiar with this Hyper squad than I am. You know the names. Good rip by Cynthia Lee. A little shallow cross on number 1 on Nemesis.
She's someone a couple years ago that out of nowhere we're like, how is her throw that hard? And then had a double catch in provincial championships.
Interesting. Where is she from?
Out of Vancouver, BC.
Vancouver, BC. Another Canadian representing on Nemesis here.
Oh, no, sorry, number 37.
Oh, number
We're talking about
37
Cynthia.
over there.
We
Okay,
once you
okay.
mentioned Cynthia Lee.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Both Cynthia Lee and Riel Leaf, both gold medalists at this past Worlds. Riel with the mixed squad and Cynthia with the women's, if I'm correct, I believe.
Well, yeah. Well researched, sir.
Still in the opening set here. Good survivability from this Nemesis squad. They have 3 players left on the court. Still have to deal with 5 on the Hyper team. Big rip from Riel. Doesn't connect. Goes in between the right 2 players on Nemesis.
It took me a while, but Gia Bader in the middle.
Gia Bader. Okay.
Better late than never.
Better late than never.
Well, it's like when you know, but you're like, come on, it's coming to me. Big shots.
Hang is tagged out, leaving Morales and Christensen, I believe, is what number 1 on Nemesis is wearing on the back. 4 balls. They spend 2 on Riel. Definitely my target, but that's easily under both. Tall task for these women on this side. 2 against 5.
Pretty defensive. Nemesis not taking any big risks.
Burden is still on Hyper. 1 cross court on Morales. Throw in the middle. Riel gets tagged out. That's a big hit by Christensen. Morales still at the line, pushing very, very high in this set.
Something I was learning from Bo earlier. Are you finding the Americans are less likely to do those crosses?
Yes, I find the American men and women both like throwing a lot straighter, whereas Canada, we like our shallow crosses, that's for sure. And you have the people with the bigger arms like Jeff, Jason, Kaylin. Those are the players that come to mind that I see cross, like full cross a lot. So I feel like the U.S. tries to play a little bit of a simplified version of that offensive game.
Just hucking rocks back and forth.
Yes, definitely relying on playing lanes, as I know a lot of people like to call it. Underarm. Oh, and it's a good hit. Morales still alive. Takes out number 77 on Hyper. Throws a Gia Bader. 45 feet. no connection. Morales pushing high. Hyper have 4 balls to work with here. And Morales gets tagged out. Hyper are going to take the first set here. Good opening set here from both teams. Hyper definitely had the advantage in the mid-game. Let's see if Nemesis can bounce back.
Well, Kira Monroe giving her team some tactics. McCaffrey, of course, will be familiar with this team. Both sides ready. Field with the throw, wide of target. She's the one wearing the armor.
Interesting. All right. I noticed in the last game I commentated, there were barely any offensive opening rushes. Big shallow cross from Real Leaf on Megan McCaffrey. Good target. As I was saying, it's nice to see some offensive opening rushes here. 2 games where I didn't feel like there were a lot of rips taken off the rush.
It's when you get that environment of mutual respect where it's like, you know what, like, I don't want to open myself up, neither do you. Let's just grab and then set as a usual play.
Something I did notice is that when the teams were playing more defensive off the rush, it was typically an American team versus an American team. I feel like the Canadians don't like to give the Americans the space and the comfort of taking a defensive opening rush. Four balls here for Nemesis. Still 6 on the court for Hyper. Close game, 5 for Nemesis. Monroe's going to put it in the... There are 3 people wearing the Monroe jersey. Who is who?
So, Kira Monroe, or Kira, yeah, she's number, well, I was supposed to say number 4 right there. So that leaves on the far left a illegitimate Monroe. And yeah, far back, yeah, it's tricky when, the nice thing is they're all wearing team jerseys,
yes.
You know, where it's much more professional.
Kira Monroe was tagged out there by Real Leaf. But there was another.
So we got a Jesse Nicano. Do we have a number 9 represented? So I'm guessing that our left wing right now would be Nicano.
Interesting. I apologize for the lack of knowledge of names of players on this side. I'm not super familiar with the American women just yet.
We get half credit because it's not like we're
half credit. Ooh, good hit. Hyper really dominating this game, staying up in numbers. Everybody surviving really well.
Also slow to retreat, like saying that mid-court. Great pressure, like that moment there by Field. That could I'm going to hold you back.
Very, very high press. Hyper knows that they're in control of this game, and they're definitely playing like it. We are just getting informed now the Monroe on the court right now is Cecilia Montes. Good to know. Cecilia Montes and Peng are left on the court for Nemesis right now. 4 balls for Hyper. Almost, I thought that was a catch for a second.
It hangs. You almost would expect her to swipe. Yeah. Sometimes when you see players realize they've got that opportunity.
Cecilia does get tagged out. It's going to be a 4v1 for Peng. Very, very tall task. Especially if you're deciding to line up against Real Leaf. Definitely not my first choice. From this angle, that looks like that did hit, but cannot tell.
Getting some clarification from the refs.
Dodgeball likes to rely on the integrity of the individual player, and I think that's a great thing about the community in the sport is that a lot of people really take that well, and they're very integral players. Looks like Peng is going to be called out. Hyper up 2-0.
I'd like at Worlds if we could just have bodysuits. You just see it like kind of light up.
That would be really cool. Some active like motion trackers in the ball.
Watch for Janice So to do the toss back. To nobody. Leaf gets it.
Defensive from both ends here. Hyper looks like they're going to be playing the slow game. Just trying to grind down the numbers. Interesting. They threw from the attack line there. Looks like they're trying to preserve some energy, but spending a little bit more on the arms. Resting the bodies. Big rip from Real. Dodges 2. Fantastic movement. Takes out Monroe, the real one, in the process.
And again, that's that moment where Leaf can somehow dodge without getting small and just kind of float.
The floating and the great lateral movement. You love to see it. And I feel those are especially hard when people stagger on you. Got out of the way over the first ball and then shifted left for that second one. Great movement.
Ooh, big rip.
Megan McCaffrey goes for the catch, but So tags her out. It's a 5v4. This set the closest one yet. Ooh. Cross court by So connects.
And I wonder if those
as
U.S.
well.
players, like with that cross court, they're less likely, like even more vulnerable targets if they're not used to that play style.
Yeah, especially if you're committing your entire body to the person in front of you and not paying attention to the opposite corner, it really leaves you open. I got caught a little bit with that playing against Fortune in my last game, hoping to not continue that trend. Hyper here with 4 balls. They spend 2. Morales is tagged out. It's a good target. One's going to roll back. Hyper are going to have Burden again.
60 seconds remaining.
Sia gets it.
60 seconds
Interesting choosing to just fully retreat with the play call. No particular rush on Hyper.
Yes. I assume it's to rest a little bit. They're trying to coast to the half. They're up in numbers. They don't want to spend much before no blocking. Oh, great catch. It's a big arm to catch. Jesse Nakano. I apologize if I mispronounced that name. Huge grab, bringing in Kira Monroe. Good player. Looks like
Culture making it clear. The ball hit. Ball on ball.
looks like she's trying to get a replacement ball.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very much to the organizers for having extra ones on the sides. When you play with foam dodgeballs, sometimes there gets rips in them.
So
Purely from
baseball
just hitting
moment.
things.
Like, hey, ref, new ball.
Yeah.
4, 3, 2.
3v2 here. Hyper are very, very good at when someone gets hit, they take someone with them. They play that trade game, that really grindy, slow dodgeball really, really well. Every time I see, oh, it's a 3v3, the next throw, they get a hit.
There's really something like in that the ball not dying until it hits the ground, just to be staying aggressive even. Oh,
Kira Monroe, call down on the line. Ooh, dodges 3.
representing her jersey.
Ooh, wow, I did not expect that ball to go where that went. Oh, almost! She reaches for it on the tips of her fingers. She can't make
just
the grab.
rolls it away instead of in.
Oh, that's tragic. Tragic.
With
Great attempt
presence.
there.
Yeah.
It's going to be 3-0 Hyper at half.
Well, and something you mentioned of that kind of coasting. This is round 9 in the day. Lots and lots of matches. You've got a coach, and just what is the team's strategy to think about a multi-day tournament like this? And yeah, you are winning, but how do you kind of keep the team strong? Any particular tactics?
A lot of that is especially the mental game and being prepared physically and just getting a good warm-up in. Sometimes I skip out on the warm-up. I'm not always great with warming up or drinking a lot of water, but the vets on Mavericks are really good at keeping me accountable for that type of thing. And multi-day tournaments, like especially a tournament like the Thing, you are packing so many games.
Flows.
As you just said, it's round 9, and there's still so much dodgeball left in the day to play. You really have to gauge and know your body well to know when to output and when to take a little bit of a backseat. So 3-0 here. I assume they're going to continue the slow dodgeball to preserve for matches coming up.
Nemesis
Cynthia,
sitting on their back
great
heels right
hit.
there. Yeah.
Had some nice tail to it too. Cynthia Lee bringing a lot to this team as a rookie on this squad. Very valuable. Kira Monroe's going to spend on Leaf, who's in the middle.
Both So and Lee formerly on Bloom. And that was sort of the power shift that happened in BC. Bloom back-to-back championships and then now Hyper on top.
Lots of interesting news in terms of players moving clubs here in BC. Or sorry, just north of us, BC. As we know, I believe Nocturnals and Cerberus kind of disbanded, became Howl, who are also at the tournament here. So lots of shifting around in the club circuit out on the west coast of Canada.
Along with the men's hyper, we have Zion Leaf as well as Matt Eberts, and yeah, so forming not unlike your team. When we kind of like, how do you stay at a top level and combine players throughout multiple years, right?
I feel that's something that's pretty difficult, but I feel if you have a good core and that core stays together, you're just adding pieces to an already solid foundation.
Good ups by Pang. Especially when you've got 2 balls in hand, you could just do the reflexive block.
Ooh. Good block by Pang.
Or he drops that hammer.
Apologize. Good hit by Cynthia Lee. Cynthia Lee, one-handed block there. I respect it, but I'm not taking any risks with a one-handed block. So we are into the second half. Reminder that you guys get to vote on VC's MVP, player of the match. Who are your 2 MVPs on both sides here?
Whew, we've had some brilliant throws by Cynthia Lee. She's been dominating it on the wing. On the Nemesis side, well, Nakano had some great moves there.
Three spent.
We could make sure that there's a Monroe represented.
A Monroe, one of the 3.
Yes.
Definitely for on this hyper side, Riel Leaf very instrumental in those first 3 points. Huge arm, great survivability. Just very, very annoying to play against from this perspective. I would not want to be up against someone with that arm who can move like that.
Yeah, and like you said, like there's that frustration of like you can overcommit balls on the target.
That's such a challenging thing. With a player like that, you're like, man, we need to get this player out because they're this effective. But then eventually it just becomes you're wasting balls on a player who's not really going to get hit on a single easily. So it's kind of a fine line that you have to really be elite about your target selection. But for me, in that first half, and up till now, Cynthia Lee and Leaf are my MVPs so far.
Meanwhile, Morales taking the opportunity to take out Garcia. Tries to pull it in, but can't. McCaffrey sending one. Good protection by your teammates.
And on the Nemesis side, who do you think has been the most instrumental during that first half?
It's interesting because like there hasn't been breakout moments for Nemesis. Early, we were talking about Cecilia Montez having some great moments on the left wing.
I feel like one of the Monroes could definitely be getting a shout here, and I think Kira Monroe has been really, really good in that first half. I think the weight has been really evenly distributed on this Nemesis side, which is great to see. Balls coming out of different arms, everybody surviving pretty well, except our Canadian friend Megan McCaffrey, who's been a priority target for most of this. Very happy to see that she survived up until this point.
That's can I answer your point there? One of the best things about having a well-rounded team is that there isn't any individual who gets kind of over targeted, and when if you're ever that player, you can see someone start to spiral when it's shot after shot against them.
Yeah, it's a great thing about being a player who can really have that survivability, but the effectiveness on offense. As someone who prides myself in my defense, I know I've had a lot of people across from me get pretty annoyed when they just keep dumping. For here from Nemesis.
Right on target.
2 on Pelletier. Peltier. Thank you for correcting my pronunciation on that one. Still learning names. I'm a rookie to the commentating game.
An early entrant to our Rookie of the Year award. Don't worry, it's a very private ceremony.
Right, good block. Hyper are being very, very aggressive in this set. Cynthia Lee is going to get targeted.
Earning her potential MVP there. Getting out of the way. Hit.
2 hits back-to-back for Monroe. Can she make it 3? So is left. Oh, and it gets there. I didn't see if that was Megan
Certainly
or Monroe.
Certainly a team out there.
But a good double. Looked like both connected. Up on screen now. Be sure to vote for your VC player of the match. MVP, however you want to call it. We got 4 options up there, 2 from both squads. I believe it's 4-1.
4-1.
4-1. 4 minutes left in this game. Nemesis could crawl back. They only have to win 3 sets, 2 sets to put it into no block to try to tie. 2 minutes a set, achievable. Looks like Leaf is taking a seat, taking a rest.
Those are those moments you love as the other team is like, oh, finally, thank God.
But they have no easy task ahead of them. Even though they have Hyper's main and biggest arm off the court, they still have to crawl back from a 3-point deficit here to try to salvage something in this game. Gia Bader makes the catch. Or Gia Bader gets tagged out.
She threw the catch over to Montez. Who's proven some amazing value there as that left wing.
Cecilia Montez. I am tripping over my own words.
Start singing.
Tag by Peltier. Morales tries to get a tag in there, cross court, but does not do it.
She's ready on defense right now, that's for sure.
Pang, great grab. Woo! Nemesis, they're in this. They have 3 minutes if they close this in 60 seconds.
Quick hand transition.
And throws on So.
So, who's had time on the Hong Kong national team.
Oh, sweet. We got Hong Kong represented on this squad. I think there are a couple of players here at the Thing who have represented Hong Kong on the world stage. I know one of my good friends, Nathan Wu, played on the mixed team at this past Worlds. They have some incredible young talents.
I think they swept the World Youth Dodgeball tournament.
Yes, they did. Only because I wasn't there, I like to believe. I was a little too old.
Oh, man.
Only a couple months too old. But great young talents. I know there are some that recently moved to Toronto, and I've had the privilege of getting to help them out, coach them, and just share the court with them in league. So definitely a very, very talented young dodgeball nation.
So should we call it like the Canadian cross now?
Canadian cross.
It kind of works well.
Love it.
The cross-country checkup.
Peltier, good movement. 4 balls on the Hyper side. They are down. Nemesis tried to push the pace a bit. They only have 1 minute and 40 seconds. It's still possible, but I don't think it's likely here.
Yeah, and this is where you'd want them to kind of pick up that pace when they've got the shot clock against them.
Morales spends on Cynthia. Cynthia easily lateral movement out of the wall.
Similar, there's so many bodies for Nemesis.
Ooh.
Well, shake it, no from Lee. Like, this is an opportunity. If you're Nemesis, get into the exact attack zone, force the trade. Good throw, better block.
Up in numbers, I'm surprised as kind of stereotypically, I like to think that Americans really like that trade game.
Yeah.
Really like to throw a lot. I'm surprised that Nemesis haven't tried to push the pace as much as I expected. Monroe going for a catch instead of maybe a rundown potentially. Mm-hmm. I know if I'm in this situation and my team is winning 6 against 3, I'm definitely going to be trying to run down Hyper with a little bit of trying to be a little bit conservative, not spend every ball or be left with last ball all the time. But definitely could have done more with the time they had to close out this game. Only 30 seconds left until no blocking.
Well, and one of the things we mentioned is because it's a collection of players that might be somewhat familiar versus those sort of many-year squads, is like you might have that more hesitancy as an individual.
Yes. But a competition like this, you have to come out confident. You have to be playing to your strengths and to what you know how to do. And I think this game could have been very, very different if Nemesis started to run down a little bit. But
Lee with the dagger there, and like a little kind of casual smile, knowing she had a great shot right at the end of the second half.
Cynthia Lee being very, very effective here, staying alive really, really well, brings this into no blocking. Hyper did such a good job at killing the clock here.
Absolutely, and I think that had that effect on Nemesis of matching the Hyper pace.
Yes, Hyper were so high and dominant at the top of the court with only 3 players. I think Nemesis will put on the back foot because of it. Down to last ball.
So
Those
now
for catches
Nakano,
at the line.
like now she's playing aggressive, kind of the come at me bro vibe.
Nakano playing aggressive. I'm surprised she didn't try to take with the last ball that close to the opposition. Hyper get a hit there. Throws it so gets tagged out. Peltier moves out of the way easily. It's a 2v2 here. Every single point matters, so Nemesis are definitely going to want to win this set.
Safe on all ends.
Little exchange there on the right-hand side of the court. Cynthia Lee with a big throw from 45 feet.
And you see it just like smack
Cynthia.
down at the on her quads.
Yes, nasty spin from
Again.
Cynthia Lee, who
Just
gets
a-
another hit to close out the set. I don't know who you guys voted, but I'm voting Cynthia for this one. And Cynthia Lee, I'm just hearing now, did get the MVP of the match. Good game, very dominant display from Hyper here.
Yeah, they are rolling. That was disciplined. No big mistakes. All right. Wow.
Again, both of these teams probably still easing into the tournament, trying to play a little bit slow and save themselves the body pain of playing in bracket tomorrow. So, yeah.
Meanwhile, as we take a look at our next match,
Stay tuned, everybody. We have Howl, who we were just talking about, the BC team, used to be who's a combination